Hello, friends. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of 10 Minutes with TmFal. This is your host, Fallacy, and we're going to be talking about some things that we need to not do so much now that we're adults. And I am speaking mostly to women because I'm a woman and that's what I know. So this one's called We're Not in Middle School Anymore. Some things that we just need to work on not doing, not that we're older. And so middle school is usually 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Some places go all the way to 9th grade. Some people start in 5th grade. But most times it's kind of that age from 10 to 14 or 11 to 15. And it's a hard time in development. It's a time of puberty and hormones and life stuff and some behaviors that we eventually outgrow. But there are some things that we still do as adults sometimes. And so this episode is a call out to all of us as women that says, we're not in middle school anymore. So see that 5 things that sometimes we still do as adults that we can work on because we're not in middle school anymore. The first is taking without giving back and making it all about ourselves, being self-centered. So, remember that 10 or 11-year-old self may have been more self-centered where you just take without necessarily giving back. If you have somebody in your class or group that seems to be a natural giver, we take from them of their time, have them help with homework, don't necessarily give back because we hadn't really thought about it. It's all about us at that age. And unfortunately, sometimes as grown-up women, we still have people in our circles who seem to just be on that side of the equation, always taking without necessarily giving back, taking of your time when they need it, of your resources, of your energy, without necessarily giving back or being a place to go to. So one is that behavior of taking without giving back. 2 is caring so much about what others think, So remember when you're in middle school, it really matters what people think. Everything is like, oh my God, what would people think? And oh my gosh, all of that stuff. So we're more people pleasers. You want to fit in. You don't want to stand out. You just worry so much about what others think. And that eventually you outgrow that and realize that you can't go through life people pleasing or always making decisions based on what people think or may think. And it's important to know as we get older that, we do learn that people aren't really thinking about us. All the stuff we spend thinking, people are thinking certain things, we're not even on their radar. So, but unfortunately, sometimes as adults, we're still focusing so much about what others think about us, and it determines and sometimes some of the decisions we make, some of the things we go after because we're worried about what people think. So that's middle school behavior. 3rd is thinking that more is better. So when you're in middle school, you want to be part of a large group. You're not necessarily looking at the quality of friendships. You just want many, many friends and you want to be part of the clique, and more is better and more clothes and more this. And, thinking more is better is something that happens when you're a teenager. As you get older, you start to realize that quality is a lot more important than quantity. I have a podcast episode on that one, on quality over quantity. And as we get older, we should start to thinking about, in terms of friendships and relationships, that, more is not always better. And that's important. 4th is ditching our friends when we're in relationships or we're dating. And that's something that still happens quite a bit. When people are going through breakups or separations, they have a support team, they have their friends, their girlfriends are there for them, checking in on them, calling them, taking them out when they need to, being a shoulder to cry on, picking up their calls at 2 a.m. just to walk them through a process. And then the minute they start dating or they're coupled up, they stop talking to their friends. They don't pick up the phone. They don't reach out. And that really is middle school behavior, ditching your friends when you're coupled up. So when you're in a relationship, yes, your friends know that you don't have as much time and you really do need to, focus on your relationship, but you can still nurture your support system, still return calls from your friends, and still let them know how valued and important they are. Because a lot of times people do that and then there's a problem, then they reach out to those friends again. And that's the whole taking without giving kind of thing. So important as we get older to realize the importance of friendships and deep friendships and nurturing them even when you're in a relationship. And the last thing, the fifth thing is, middle school behavior is being reactive. Everything's reactive. We have drama-filled lives and everything's a big deal. And when you're in middle school, everything's a big deal. So if you remember your middle school days, or if you're the parent of a middle schooler, you know exactly what we're talking about. At those ages, everything is a big deal. Nothing's little, nothing's trivial, everything's drama, and this person said this, and it's always over the top. And sometimes you still have adults living that way, where everything's all reactive, it's drama-filled, it's innuendos, it's over the top, and living pretty reactive lives, which is high conflict, drama-filled. And that is something that is middle school behavior, and we can do better. And so I'm going to end this podcast just, talking about these 5 things that sometimes we still see in adult relationships and we have to call each other out on, So instead of, the first one is taking without giving back. As an adult, you want to be in a relationship that is bi-directional with your friends and coworkers and people, where you're not always the taker, but you also give, and that you provide a space where you can give back, and you're not depleting people's energy. And if you're taking, you're also giving back, so that the relationship is balanced. So instead of being middle school, which is taking without giving, adult woman is bi-directional, a relationship that is of give and take. Second is caring so much about what others think, people pleasing. That's middle school behavior. As an adult, we're talking about really knowing yourself, knowing what you want, what you need, and going after those things. It's important for people you care about to value their input, but not living your life in a state of people pleasing, caring what others think, because frankly, they're not spending time thinking about you. Everyone's wrapped up in what they need to get done. And so if you're editing your life or making statements or making decisions based on what people may think, or not doing things because of what others may think, or doing certain things because of what others think about you, is not a good way to go. So instead of caring so much about what others think, know what you want, know yourself and go for it. The third is thinking more is better. As you get older, what we need to do is to look at quality over quantity and think about our friendships and the depth of those friendships and the few friends we may have, but how deep those friendships are and what's important. Refining the quality of what we put into our bodies, into our minds, and going after what we want, but not necessarily that more is better. Looking at quality over quantity. Number 4 is ditching friends when we're dating. As an adult woman, as you're going through relationship issues, is to continue to nurture your friendships, deep friendships, and your support system. Let them know that you value them. Take time out to acknowledge their role in your lives. And when you're in a relationship and coupled up and you're married, do not ditch them. Your relationship may be a little different and you may not spend as much time as you did when you were single, but don't ditch them until the next time you need to talk to them. Nurture those friendships as an adult woman. And the 5th thing we do in middle school, being reactive, all drama-filled, is to live a life that is more proactive. So you put things in place so you're not always reactive. You learn yourself enough that you know situations that get you to be reactive. You know people that trigger certain emotions or negative people that drain your energy. And you make a conscious effort to stay away from those relationships, from those toxic people. You minimize the time you spend with them. You realize that drama-filled lives just helps other people find entertainment, doesn't help you at all. And when you do that, you start to realize that you don't have to have a drama-filled existence to have a fun life. You can actually do things that you value with people that you cherish without having over-the-top reactive drama-filled life. So this episode on We Are Not in Middle School Anymore is for grown women. When we see these behaviors in ourselves or in others, to call it out and to learn not to do these things and to work on being better versions of ourselves. So again, thank you for listening to 10 Minutes with TmFal. I hope you enjoyed this episode.